It's Deborah the Judge radio podcast all the way from Putnam County, Florida. Yes, Putnam County, Florida, in the northern central section of Florida. So happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Hey. So I got up early this morning and went to the veterans, call it the Veterans VA, not the VA, but the Veterans of Foreign War, and hung out with a lot of the veterans today. And we had Thanksgiving dinner. So it was really nice. Everybody brought something, and it was just very relaxing. Ooh, not to hear about politics, not to hear about religion or anything that's going to be controversial. And what I'm learning is that at the end of the day, everybody has their own opinion about everything. So there's no need to get it in a debate with other people about what they believe. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about is this Michael Rapport. Okay. So Michael Rapport is a white Jewish actor. So he's frustrated in the fact that there have been some black people that have come out in defense of pro-Palestine. Okay, there's been a number of black people who have come out for pro-Palestine, and their idea of coming out for pro-Palestine is the fact that they want the they want a ceasefire, and they want all of those people being displaced, those innocent people who are being displaced, they don't want them to be targeted in all of this. So they're coming out saying, hey, we need to cease fire. We need to stop killing innocent people. This needs to stop. Okay. Not saying that they don't, not saying that they agree with what Hamas did in kidnapping all of those innocent Jewish people. They're not saying that. But anyway, the way that the Jewish people see it is that when you, any way, form, or fashion, come out and say that, the ceasefire needs to stop and there's innocent Palestinians that are innocent in all of this, and we need to make sure that, we have things in place to help these people. But anyway, make a long story short, so this actor now is very, very upset at black people because of the stance that people like Candace Owens, she herself, even though she's married to a white Jewish guy, basically she's one of the ones blacks who come out and says that this needs to stop. It needs to stop, along with a guy by the name of Mark Hill, who used to work, I think, for CNN. But anyway, he used to work for one of the news stations, and they fired his ass, black guy, right? So he's got his own podcast. So he goes out too in different events and talks and supports pro-Palestine. And I think in some of these cases where people are supporting, black people who are supporting the pro-Palestinians, they look at it as the way that Palestinians are treated are the same way that African Americans are treated here in America. So the Palestinians are not treated fair over in the area that they live, because they don't have the same financing, because that's what it's about. They don't have the same financing, or they're not living as good as the people who are the Jewish people. Now, I've talked to you guys before about the real Jews and the Jewish people, okay? But at the end of the day, he comes out and he says that black people, listen to this, black people are stupid, they're sick, they're uneducated, and they black tar. He done put black tar. And for those who don't know what that is, basically during the slave days, they used to put black people in tar. They used to dip them in tar and then put feathers on them. That's what they call tar and feather. And that's something that was a punishment or to kill black people during the time that there was slavery. And even some blacks were tarred and feathered even after slavery. Even though slavery was supposed to be no longer here, people still practiced slavery and had slaves even after slavery was supposed to be abolished. But anyway, he's all upset. Now, mind you, he was married to an African American woman. So he was married to a black tar woman. Stupid, uneducated, uh, sick. So what does that say about him? So if black people are all these different things, why are you marrying a black woman? Because she's black. So when you can't classify black people as being stupid, silly, okay, uneducated, sick, and black tar, what does that say about you? It means that you're stupid. It means you're uneducated. It means that you are sick. You may not be black tar, you're white tar. If there's such a thing as white tar, but there's not. Okay, it's just white stupidity on your part. There's a lot of black people who do support Israel. And there's a lot of black people who have woken up and realized that maybe these are not the real Jews. The Jewish people, maybe they're not the real Jews. They don't look like the Jew people who lived in that in the land. Biblically speaking, it describes not Jewish people as being looking like Caucasians. That's not how the Bible describes the Jew. Not blonde hair, blue eyes. Don't get it twisted. The Jewish people are more described as olive color, darker skin. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about that today. So yeah, he's going off. Now see, this is what happens when black people give white people passes to say certain shit. See, he called himself, because he had a black wife, he felt like he could say a lot of shit that deals with black people. And this is the reason when I'm around Caucasians, I don't do black jokes, white jokes. I don't play that shit. Because in one time you're going to say something out of fun or whatever, and it's going to be very offensive. So that's why when it comes to, like, you know, sitting around and talking the N word and the H word, which is hunky, right? All those things. I don't do that with people. I don't play like that. Because at some point, somewhere along the line, one or the other is going to say something that's going to be very derogatory. And for some reason, it's sort of like there's some Caucasians who feel that they can say a lot of different stuff about different people. I had a situation just today when we were out hanging out with the veterans, where this white chick, she was sitting down talking, and she's not a bad person. Don't get me wrong. She don't seem to be a bad person. She seems to be a decent person. So a chick comes in there and she says, "Ooh, she's an Amazon." And I'm saying to myself, that can be very offensive. I mean, you're not using the word, there's nothing coming before that word, like beautiful Amazonian or pretty Amazon, or the stature is beautiful, just Amazon, you know, because that can be used as a derogatory term depending on how you use it. So when white people come to me and say, "Well, why can't we use the N word?" And I tell them all the time, I say, well, if you have been called the N word growing up as a child every year, or a what I call the N word lover, because there are a lot of Caucasians that do care and do like black people, and they pattern themselves after black people. They call them the ninja lovers. Okay. But if you've been called a nigger all your life, and you grew up in school and people call you nigger, the teacher called you nigger, you're still being called nigger just driving down the street minding your own business, you can use that word. But I doubt if you are a white person that you've gone through that. So no, you can't use it. And it even offends me to even know, why would you even want to? Or why, to even have the nerve to ask me, why can't you use the word? What is it about that word that you feel that you have to say that? Is it an empowerment? You think you're being empowered by you saying that word when you know that's an offensive word? You know that's a word that comes from slavery. So why? But most black people at this particular time, they're so over it. We're just really over it. And so when we look at people who say stuff like that, We don't even get into engagements to respond to them because we know that they're the ones that's ignorant, sick, uneducated. So you're not going to get us with that. Just because you call somebody the N-word, you're not going to get black people with that anymore. That was something that you could really offend you, but that's not, we're in a different time right now. We're concerned about hashtag reparations and shit. We don't care. You can call whatever hell, whatever you want to call. Because even if there's a law that says you better not call a black person the N-word, guess what? You'll still be thinking it. So just as you think it, so is you're saying it. You're just not saying it where somebody can hear you, but you still have that mindset. So we don't care about that, but what we do care about is reparations. I met an indigenous lady today from South Dakota, and she was basically telling me and stuff about, what she believed and these kind of things, etc. And there's a lot of things that we have in common. But when I think about what happened to the Indians and what they did to the Indians, to be honest with you, they didn't have them as slaves per se. And I'm pretty sure some Indians were probably slaves too. But it probably wasn't enough to be able to talk about it, let's say. Probably wasn't enough to talk about it, to really make it a big issue at the end of the day. So I just want to say that. So this man, he is just way off his rocker. His name is Michael Rapport. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is the Macy's Day Parade. So the pro-Palestinians shut that shit down for a little while. They was out there, and somebody said they was gluing their hands to the sidewalk. How in the hell you glue your hands to the sidewalk? But evidently, the police got them up out of there. So they did disrupt it for a while. It was a small group of people, okay? But they disrupted it, but wasn't a whole lot of people. There was more people who were New Yorkians who came to see the parade. Now, I didn't watch the whole parade, but I was willing to see if they had any LBGT stuff, because they said they was going to put some LBGT stuff in the Macy's Day Parade. And the mothers, I think it's Moms Against something about LBGT. And so I'm not sure if the Macy's parade had the LBGT represented in that particular parade. But anyway, the next thing is a ceasefire. So the ceasefire supposed to happen on Friday. And that's when the Hamas is supposed to give up 50 Jewish people in exchange for 150 Palestinians. Let me just say this again. So they trade 50 Jewish people for 150 Palestinians. So basically what that's saying is that Palestine lives don't matter. Because if it did matter, they would trade one Palestinian for one Jewish person, but they're not doing it. They're giving them three Palestinians for one Jewish person. That right there just lets you know that there's a super inequality that's going on. So that's what they're going to do starting Friday. But at the end of the day, the Jewish leader has already said, never again. And he meant that shit. When he said that the Palestinian and the Hamas and the over there in Gaza is never going to pull this shit again, he meant exactly that. And the only thing that's happening right now is they're doing what they call the ground invasion. So they are going to cease fire, which they're not going to be firing rockets and stuff like that. But as far as the ground operation, they're not going to stop that. They're going to be in them tunnels like white on rice. White on rice. I'm just saying, they're going to be in them damn tunnels. That's not going to stop. And as I told you before, Hamas knows that they're on the losing end of this right now. So they're basically trying to figure out, okay, we know that we're being targeted. We know that America and all these other nations are supporting Israel, and we don't really have a chance. So we got to hold at least some of these hostages, which is going to leave them with still 150 hostages. So they want to stretch this out to have them to try to stop ceasefiring and all that. But at the end of the day, they just trying to make it out those areas to other countries so they can later on sometime in the future regroup. Because all they got to do is go to another country and then come in through the American border. You see how easy it was for people to come in through the American border. It's easy as I don't know what. And I reported on yesterday, and please forgive me, I made a mistake because looking at one of the trusted sites that I looked at said that the car that came from Canada, they thought it was a terrorist attack because the way that the car blew up. And it was so loud coming through the Canadian border to America that the people around it thought it was a blast from terrorists. But after looking and reading it thoroughly myself, come to find out that there was no terrorist stuff involved. At least that's what they're reporting. But then again, who really knows? Then again, maybe they're not telling us because they don't want people to get fearful. We just don't really all the time know, because we know at the end of the day, we're not always giving the real news. You know, it's like we're going to give them what we want them to know or whatever, but we're not going to give them everything. Okay, so that's with the hostage situation. So on tomorrow, that's supposed to be the day of the releasing. But as I said before, that's for Hamas to try to get out of the way and for them to try to regroup in another country. But these other countries saying that they don't want them there. But at the end of the day, as a Middle Eastern country, and if they're Muslim and their Islam religion the same as Hamas, and believe that every other religion or every other person that doesn't accept Islam is an infidel, okay, then they're going to let them in. They're just not going to say much about it. So as we speak today, Israel already is bombarded the second hospital. They have already bombarded the second hospital in the northern part of Gaza. So they're not playing. And then the leader of the hospital, or whoever's in head of the Al Sharif hospital, they got that leader, the hospital administrator, in detainment. Okay, they got his ass in detainment because guess what? He knew that those hostages were going through there. Because the people in the hospital, the nurses and stuff, they knew. And if they knew, they told him. So he knew. But then again, we don't know the whole story at the end of the day. But we're going to surely find out. And the last thing I want to talk about is, honey, these women is coming out after these men on the sexual abuse allegations. They are coming out on these people. I'm telling you right now. You guys know that we talked about L.A. Reid, okay? The case that came against L.A. Reid. We talked about Russell Simmons, and recently yesterday we talked about Puff Daddy paid Cassie, his girlfriend, who was also a part of his business dealings. He paid her, they said, about $30 million. These are all allegations, okay? I got to say, everything that I'm saying right now is allegedly, okay? But Puff Daddy, and of course, by Puff Daddy having his hands in so much and dealing with so many people and so many women, I'm thinking there's probably going to be a whole lot more allegations coming out. And you probably say, why are they coming out now? And I'm going to explain that to you in a minute. But let me give you the list of people, honey. They just tagged Jamie Foxx. A lady's coming out and said he performed unwanted sexual advances toward her. Forcibly touching. So it's probably going to be some other people going to come out against Jamie Foxx. Then we have Cuban Gooding Jr. Now, Cuban Gooding Jr. was accused of rape in 2013, and then in 2018 and 2019, the women who were making these allegations said they had some incidents with him back then in 2018, 2019 has just came out. So he got 2 more that just came out this week. It's not good, Cuban Gooding Jr. He is in bad shape. And I know a lot of y'all probably say they're just targeting black people, black men. No, they're not. How about Axl Rose of Guns N' Roses? Okay, so now we got a female that's coming out against him. Same thing, sexual misbehavior, filing a lawsuit against him. Jimmy, I think his name is Jimmy Lown, sexual harassment charges. And these people are like executives of like different record companies and producers and things like that. That's who they're coming for. Another guy by the name of Harvey Pierre, who was making the band executive, and it was P. Diddy's friend. They went to Howard University together. So they're coming out, somebody by the Jane Doe, she's not giving her name, coming down and said that he tried to groom and assault her. Honey, this right here is going on and on and on and on. There's all these sexual allegations. And one of the reasons is that in New York, because these are all New York associated with, is because New York has a law that is supposed to be expiring real soon, that if you have been abused or a sexual abuser as an adult, that you can file claim charges. And it doesn't matter if it was 10, 15, or 20, 30 years ago, you can still file charges. And I think that that limit or time limit on doing that is up this weekend, or it's up, I think, before Monday or something to that effect. Maybe because of the holiday, it may extend it. Okay, so that's why all of a sudden right now, a lot of these people are coming out. That's here. But I would not even be surprised if that particular law got passed on for other places. That's New York City now. But there's other places where a lot of executives and a lot of stuff was going on. Atlanta is one of them. LA is another one. Hollywood is another one. But I don't think Hollywood people are going to pass that, okay? Because they live in that lifestyle. They push this lifestyle, basically. So we're going to see. And the last thing is Biden, Mr. Biden. I am not going to even call him President Biden anymore, Mr. Biden. How about as his last event that he went to, here he goes sniffing around another young girl. And he tells the young girl, he says, you're one sexy kid. Who in the F-U-C-K says that to a minor, a child? You're one sexy kid. Who says that? At what point are people going to call this man out as a pedo? At what point? But you know what? They won't, because they support it. The liberals in charge support it. The same people that support this stuff about children being able to choose their gender, they support that kind of stuff. Oprah coming out, yeah, sex to children, that feels good when somebody touching you, all that kind of stuff, okay? Things that, they support that. And if you got more people supporting it harder than those who don't support it, then the people that speak the loudest is going to be heard. Like the squeaky wheel is what gets heard more than anything at all. So anyway, I'm getting ready to get out of here. I just wanted to talk about those particular things and the hate that's going on. But Michael Rapport, shame on you to use those derogatory names to African Americans. But is he going to be shut down on his Facebook page? Is anybody going to shut him down on Twitter? Is anybody going to shut him down on TikTok? Probably not. Probably not. But see, this is what happens when it's about the African American community. But you're going to find a lot more of African Americans are going to come out in support of pro-Palestine. And it's not so much that they're supporting pro-Palestine. It's the fact that they don't like, now that all this stuff is coming out with the Jewish people, with Kanye West, and a lot of them are coming out saying how the Jewish people used them in contracts and took advantage of them and took their copyrights and all this kind of stuff, allegedly, okay? So the Jewish people are getting a bad rap. And I know they're saying that Michael Rapport basically said that people are jealous of Jewish people because they want to be Jewish. They're just mad because they're not the chosen people. And they're mad at them because they are. That's not why. That's not why. The reason that a lot of people are upset with the Jewish community is because they don't think that they shit stink. It's because of what has happened to African Americans, or saying something about the Jewish community and then you want to destroy him. Look at Kanye West. He was a billionaire one day, said something about the Jewish community. He was a $500 million man. He done went from 100 million, a billionaire, down to half that amount. And anybody that says anything against, look at Candace Owens. They just ripped her ass apart. They ripped her a new butthole because she went out against Ben Shapiro in support of the Palestinian. When I say Palestinian, not complete support, but the fact that they wanted to stop the genocide. They wanted to stop the execution of those innocent people who are there. Now, these are not my personal opinions, okay? That when it comes to Jewish and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, I'm going to say this, black people, we have no dog in this fight. We have no dog in this fight. The only thing we should be concerned about is fucking reparations. Because at the end of the day, the Jewish people are going to still be Jewish. They're going to still have the money. They're going to still be rich. The Rockefeller, Rothschilds, the black, all of these, they still going to have all the money, funding two sides of the war. United States of America is a corporation. We just employees. And that's why illegals can come to this country and do what the hell they want to do and not be chastised for it, because they're not citizens of the corporation. Please understand that concept of what that means. We're just employees. And United States of America, or United States Corporation, has insurance on every person that has a Social Security number. So to the United States Corporation, a lot of people are worth more a lot dead than alive. Hello. Anyway, you guys have a great day. At the end of the day, just live your life. Try to treat people right. That's all you can do. Treat people right. Hashtag reparations. Bye-bye.